Good afternoon, good morning. Great to be here. Always a blessing, always a blessing. You see what we're doing today from podcast to platform. Yes, we're going to go there. We are going to go there today because things are tightening up. Oops. Let me just make sure. Yes, Facebook, we here. Facebook, we here. Let me just get this loaded up on YouTube and then we'll get the show started. All right, right here, YouTube. Let's open that up real quick. All right, right here, YouTube. Let's open that up. Okay, folks, back at it once again. You already know what it is. First and foremost, let me introduce myself to anybody that may be new around here. If it's your first time tuning in, my name is Aswan Crookshank. I am your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 5-time, soon to be 6-time published author and educator. I created this whole brand, this whole philosophy, this whole mindset that's all about taking the innovative teamwork lessons that you learn on the football field and aligning them with businesses and business owners. So they have a staff, a group of employees a staff or a group of employees that moves as efficiently, has the same hunger, has that same eagerness to them as a championship high school or youth level football team has. That's what we do around here. That is my superpower. That is Move Swiftly in a nutshell. All right. It's Move Swiftly in a nutshell. Those same hungry young men that you see in a championship level, youth or high school championship level football team, we want that translated. We want your staff moving with that eagerness, that hungerness, that drive, that passion, that, I got to just go out and get it day in and day out. That's what we do pretty much over here every day. So one of these staples to what we do is something called Win-Trapreneur Wednesday. Win-Trapreneur, I will define this in more detail in a second, but just to give you a brief overview, Win-Trapreneurship is a term that I have coined. It is the reason I call myself a 5-time, soon to be 6-time published author, because there's 5 books currently out, and book number 6 is going to be all about the steps towards being a Win-Trapreneur. Win-Trapreneurship is part of one of my keynotes. In fact, one of the t-shirts are available. Matter of fact, let me just get into the announcements right now. The t-shirts are available too as well. Win-Trapreneur, you can shop Win-Trapreneur t-shirts. We getting the brand out there. Getting the brand out there. We getting the whole thing ready to roll. So again, Win-Trapreneurship Wednesday, we are going to be discussing how yours truly went from podcast to platform. That is what we're going to be discussing today. Just last week, I noticed so usually what happens is I record these and then I download the video or the audio version of it. And then eventually it goes on the Move Swiftly podcast. Now I tried to do that last week and I realized, oh man, I can't even log into my account because apparently they blocked the access. They took it down because I was getting a bunch of emails. For a few months. I did an article. I think I did do an article on this. Hold on one second. I think I did, just to show you guys real quick. I did an article on this a couple months ago when they first started flagging some of my episodes, because what would happen is when I first started the show, I would put music at the end of every episode. Like, there was nothing better than having a nice episode or listening to a great energetic episode of the Move Swiftly podcast and having a nice song at the end. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, it's it. Let me show you guys real quick. Let me show you guys really quick. Yeah, so this is it. This was the actual substance, anchors against any acquisition. So what happened was when Spotify bought Anchor, so it used to be Anchor, Spotify bought Anchor, and the music that I would put at the end of every episode, it started to get flagged because it was like, hey, you got copyright issues. You can't be putting, this was the email. It says subject episodes of your podcast will be removed in 24 hours if over 100 for episodes will be removed if you don't delete the music from the episodes. So I spent literally like a whole day doing that. I just took the music off all the episodes. And then recently what happened is I guess I didn't get all of them. So Spotify sent me more emails saying, hey, look, we need such and such episodes gone. Didn't do it. Now they blocked me from having access to my Spotify account, which is why, by the way, if you're listening to this on the Move Swiftly, or well, obviously you can't be listening to this one on the Move Swiftly podcast, but if you are a person that consumes my material through Spotify or through any of these podcasting apps, why you saw last week was the last new episode that got posted is because I'm dealing with this situation, and I emailed the people, and again, it's no telling when they're going to get back at me, which is again why today's topic is all about making sure your podcast or whatever you're putting out there, make sure you're building your own platform. See, the reason it doesn't really affect me as much is because the material is already out there. The material is first of all, 99% of my material is evergreen material. Secondly, I have all my recordings. It's all stored on my YouTube account, on my computer, on my hard drive. So I can more so focus on building out my own platform. And, again, letting Spotify and all these podcast apps, they're sort of the second tier. They're sort of they're the recording that these recordings get posted on there after the live recordings, or, I have access. I record the episode, I save it to my hard drive, and then they go out to Spotify and do whatever it is they need to do. Again, the reason that this was titled, I'll show you guys again, the reason that this is titled Actual Substance Anchors Against Any Acquisition is because I'm the substance. All right. Substance. I'm the person that's actually putting out the material and putting it out in a way that's quality and frequently, in a way that is engaging to listeners and engaging to people. So when people come into my world, it's like, look, it doesn't matter what the app is, doesn't matter what the new thing is. I'm actually have some damn substance, which is what we're going to get to today. So all that being said, I stepped on the topic a little bit too much for my liking, or too much more than I actually planned to. Let me get through a couple announcements real quick. Really, really quick, and then we'll dive into the article that came out today about how I'm going to be doing it, how maybe some of the new tweaks are when it comes to how the platform is going to work. And ultimately too, one of the big thing about being a Win-Trapreneur is understanding there's so much to be learned. There's so much to be learned from the people who have done it before, from the podcasters and the creators that I look up to and I consume on a daily basis, and what I'm learning from them. There's so much to be learned, like literally so much that I have to learn, that I'm so excited to learn, in front of everyone, to be publicly learning and say, hey, this part of it I don't know. I'm going to go to this person who's got this platform and see what they got and tweak a little bit of that. It's almost like when if you can recall, again, I'm a sportsman, so get used to a lot of football stories. If you're not used to who I'm about, I'm a football guy, all right, football guy. And I get really excited as we approach mid-June, because it's like you blink and we back in action, baby. Back in action, Tom. But I remember back when Cam Newton, listen to the interview when Cam Newton was getting drafted #1 overall. He did an interview with at the time, it was back when Primetime Coach Deion. So shout out to Coach Primetime Deion Sanders, by the way. Hope you recover well and all that kind of stuff. But he was working for NFL Network, and Prime interviewed Cam Newton. And Cam Newton says, you see, a guy like me, he was talking about his playing style. He goes, a guy like me, you take a little bit of the Drew Brees, you take a little bit of the Mike Vick, you take a little bit of the Aaron Rodgers. I get a little bit of that, and then I'm doing my thing. So I take that approach. I do. I take that approach when I look at content creators on the internet that I like. I'm like, give me a little bit of that Dre Ball, give me a little bit of that Brandon Tatum, a little bit of the give me some of that Andy Facilla, some of that rawness, or some of that Alex Hermosi. I'm always trying to, mix it up and to make it one blend, one thing. That's Aswan Crookshank. Your one and only Move Swiftly Speak. And you like how I did that. You like how I did the intro. As Juan Crookshank, your one and only, because coming up, I would tell people my name. They'd be like, yo, my name is As Juan. And they would always give me their own nickname. They'd be like, oh, do you mind if I just call you Juan? Because they obviously don't want to say the first part because they don't want to like curse and shit like that. So it's like, you mind if I just call you Juan? Or even, whenever friends, peers, and like people I meet in sports, like teammates and stuff like that, they just call me Juan. So it's like, all right, as Juan Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly Speak. And you like how I did that too? Anyway, all right, let me get to the announcements. See, sometimes I can get to chatting and we'll go. So first things first, business owners. If you have not yet, make sure you go to free guide. You are hearing me correctly, folks. freeguide.makeyourmove.com. If you have not yet, get your 10-step. It's a very, very easy to understand 10-step process towards making it so your staff is moving in a cohesive manner. You're getting more out of your meetings. This is important because there's a lot of wasted time with bullshit. There's a lot of people, a lot of you owners out there listening to me right now, waste a whole lot of time doing a whole lot of nothing. Right? This right here is going to keep you on track, keep you focused, because we break it down into a very easy to understand process. All right. First and foremost, establishing measurables. Every single person in your business, whether doesn't matter who it is, they need to know what the hell it is they need to do that day. They need to know what the hell it is they need to do that specific day. They need to establish the measurables. Then you need to create a professional distance, and that and only those two things is going to lead to a productive environment. Hear me, a productive environment. You need those two things added up with the right blend, but you gotta make the decision whether you want to be these folks' friends or do you want to be their leader? Do you want to be the owner of the business and making sure shit is set up in a way where folks are walking into your business knowing what it is that needs to be done today. All right. So establishing measurables and creating a professional distance. It's at that point you can create a professional, productive environment. That's step one. That's the basic step. That's the free guide that I'm going to give you. All right. Now, if you're ready to pull the trigger and you're like, look, I want this guy coming in, then I want his energy in my office. I want his energy to be established. I want him to really plant his flag, plant his Move Swiftly system in my business. Then just simply go to makeyourmove.com. You can book me to speak to your staff. You can learn more about me, and that's going to cost you. That's going to be an investment. It's going to cost you more not to do it, to be honest with you, because then you're going to be dealing with a bunch of turnover issues. The money you spend in bringing me out to do a workshop is the money you'll be saving in terms of the staff that you'll be replacing, because there's nothing worse than constantly replacing your staff. So what you spend to have me implement the system, the Win-Trapreneurship system, the Move Swiftly system, how team works, how to really get this thing on board, that money is going to be an investment for you in your business, so it doesn't cost you in the long haul. So if you're ready to do that, just simply go to makeyourmove.com, book a meeting with me, or, again, if you're ready to just go ahead and get it now, you can go to the shop now and get all of that stuff ready to go, or contact me and I'll give you your best options in terms of what it is you need to be doing. Also, next announcement, I got to make sure I do this because this is actually new. Boxing sessions. Your favorite boxing trainer is officially back in business. It took me some time. To figure out how I was going to do it. So I used to be a boxing trainer full time. Pretty well. I used to work for the Dolphins and I used to be a boxing trainer. I used to make those two part-time jobs work in South Florida, which was, man, those are time. That was a motherfucking time. Let me tell you, that was the time. And it's so crazy because now I'm in a relationship now. And before, I tell her all the time, I tell people all the time, not just her, but I tell people all the time, there's no way that had I been in a relationship during that time that I would have been able to see and merge those two worlds where it's, boxing trainer and doing sales stuff for the Dolphins. That was a blessing. That was a absolute blessing. So Again, I've never lost that skill, and I've opened it up. I've opened the business back up. If you are interested, if you're in the South Florida area, more so focused on the West Palm Beach area. If you're outside of West Palm Beach, you will be responsible for travel expenses. But I mean, mostly I'm pretty much serving West Palm Beach, West Palm Beach, Boynton, Deerfield, Boca, Plantation, and Fort Lauderdale, and Miami is probably going to be a bit of a stretch. There's a lot of boxing trainers in Miami. I'd probably recommend that you go to somebody else. But anyway, if you're pretty much West Palm Beach, Boca, Deerfield, what's another one I'm thinking? Boca, Deerfield, Boynton, yeah, Boca, Deerfield, and Boynton. If you're around those areas, I can get to you. Just go to, and you're interested. If you're interested in having a boxing sessions, boxing lessons, and learning how to do that, whether you want to get it for you or get it for somebody else, whether it's an athlete, whether it's a woman who may be in a domestic abuse situation, or you as a man, you want to get in shape, whatever it is, you as a family or you as a couple want to do it, you want to do it with your kids or whatever it is, however you want to organize the sessions, I've been able to now bring it back to business. What you get is 6. I sell them in packs of 6. It'll be 6 sessions for $150. All right. Now, if you are a member of my free one, if you're a member of the free boxing.make you move, if you're a member of my group that I have, so I'm a group leader at Life Church, and it's boxing sessions. And if you're a member of this, then you will get a discount on those 6 sessions. And I do them every 2 weeks. So the people that have signed up to my leadership group, or my group leader, to be with Life group, I'm trying to think of the name of it, but pretty much, yeah, I'm a group leader at Life Church, and we do boxing lessons. It's free every 2 weeks. If you're one of those members and you're listening to me right now, you will get a discount. Just use promo code Life Group. I just did this yesterday, so bear with me. It was Life Group. I'll go back and check, but just contact me, and then we'll get that going. So let me let this play a little bit as we get ready for today's topic. So go. This is you. This gonna be you. This gonna be you. This gonna be you. Yeah. Come on now. Oh, those were the days, man. Those are the days. So, me and that young lady who you saw out boxing with, we kind of had a rough path there, but I always gonna appreciate I still use her photos to this day. She's a photographer, and I still to this day use her photos. So those were the announcements. I know they were a little longer than I normally do, but I did add some things that I needed to make sure that I mentioned. All right, so let's get to today's topic. Let's get to today's article, which is how to go from there we go. Come on. How to go from podcast to platform, even if Spotify ghosts you. Now, again, I sort of already stepped on the point and brought you up to speed in regards to why I'm doing today's Win-Trapreneur Wednesday, why I'm doing it, about this whole concept of going from podcast to platform, and pretty much what I have to do personally to maintain a standard that I set for myself in regards to how frequently I put out the episodes, the kind of quality that comes out, the kind of work I'm able to do on a day-to-day basis, and not just be one of these podcasts that show up for 17 episodes and you never hear from them again, or come and put some bullshit on the feed and doesn't really isn't helping anybody, really isn't moving in a direction that's going to lead to anything productive, just people talking shit, right? I sort of gave you that. Now, here's what you got to understand about this is not for everybody. Nothing is for everybody. I'm not sitting here telling you as a business owner that you have to go start up a show and have over 1,000 episodes of a show. No, I'm telling you, whatever your move is to get in front of new clients or get in front of ideal clients, you have to own your process. You have to own your process. All of these other platforms and all of these other mechanisms and ways of getting in touch with people, that's great. But own your process and make sure you're able to own it's very much like having a book, right? if you own your process and making it so you have a process towards getting in front of the right people every day, then whatever new platform or whatever new technology, new forms of technology, they'll be just become features for you to get where it is you're trying to go. All right. So I'll explain all this as we get through the article now. All right. Reading directly from the article. Let's get right into it. How to go from podcast to platform, even if Spotify ghosts you. All right. I recently appealed a takedown of my Spotify podcast. Whether or not it returns, it will only be weeks before my 1,000 plus episodes are fully restored on a new RSS feed. Although it was frustrating, it's also revealing. Let me explain what I mean by that really, really quick. All right. So let's say Spotify doesn't bring the show back, right? Let's say Spotify's like, look, you have to, because I did. It was a period, I'd say, for the first year and maybe 2 years of the show. After every single episode, it would be a great song at the end, which I loved. I loved doing that because I had some, and not only the solo episodes, but I had some incredible guests with incredible stories. And the minute they were done with their stories, like the second I said, I would close it like, you guys continue to move swiftly. We'll talk more. So fellow teammates, continue to move swiftly. We'll talk more soon. That was my ending. That was my outro of the show. As soon as you hear that, we'll talk more soon. As soon as that closes, you get a dope song. You get a or even like one of these Jay-Z songs. Point out the bounce. I'll show you how to do. You know what I'm saying? Like just something to really perk you up. It was such a great thing to have the music at the end of every episode, or some Buju, some I listen to a lot of different music. I'm a weirdo. I listen to everything from DMX to Avril Lavigne to Nickelback to Coldplay. Like I'm a weirdo when it comes to the music, everything. I'm just a little bit of everything. And it was great to listen to it or have that music, even have some sort of motivational video at the end of every episode. These things were incredible. I love doing that. But then Spotify, they go buy Anchor, and now Spotify's like, nope, we flagging stuff, we copywriting stuff because the artists, the people who come up with the music, they don't like the fact that their stuff is being sampled out for free, as if you can't go find it on YouTube. Shit. That's what's funny. It was like, all right, man. So I had to just accept that. Again, I'm a creator now, and you just have to accept it. That's the way it works. So the point I'm making here, when it comes to me explaining, it won't be but maybe a week or two before all of the episodes or all of the material that I have can just go on a new RSS feed. That's totally fine. There's nothing that's going to be stopping that. And then again, it just still continues to be the #1 show on innovative teamwork, because the amount of episodes that have come out, quality episodes that come out, and the amount of growth, right? If you can go back to the first episode I've ever done, growth that has gone from, when I started it 5 years ago to now, it's just constant growth. Nothing is going to stop a person who has it in their mind that they will continue to grow regardless of whatever happens, right? So back to the article. Are fully restored on a new RSS feed. Although it was frustrating, it's also revealing. This isn't the first time I've been locked out of something I built with passion and purpose. When my LinkedIn account got hacked, it became the wake-up call that led to the writing of my book, Transferring D1, a practical guide on how to navigate the chaotic world of college athletics, which I have available right here. And you can also purchase that on makeitmove.com. Make sure you guys go get a copy of it. Transferring D1, how to survive, a practical guide on how to navigate the chaotic world of college athletics, which, by the way, we'll be diving into some of the lessons I put in this book next week when we talk about the college sports admission, this college sports commission, and the decision that the NCAA, the settlement that became major news when it came to the NCAA and the money and all that kind of stuff. That deserves, I was going to talk about it like in a quick, I tried to, but I was like, you know what? This is a whole week's worth of material that I got to break down for you all. All right. So be on the lookout for that, especially if you're into college football, because as we get closer to the season, the material I'll be doing, a lot of the stuff that I do is going to be based in what's happening in the college football world. All right. So again, back to the article. So No, this setback isn't going to stop me. It's going to upgrade me. All right. Because what I've realized is that I'm not just rebuilding a podcast. I'm evolving into a platform. Hear me when I say that. All right. Because what I've realized is that I'm not just rebuilding a podcast. There's a difference, folks. There's a difference. I'm evolving into a platform. The difference between a podcast and a platform. All right. A podcast is a content channel. A platform is an ecosystem. Say it again. A podcast is a content channel. You could just hit the podcast app. There's millions of podcasts out there that you could just listen to and, leisurely listen to and hear some bullshit. All right. A platform is an ecosystem, a specific thing that happens. Let's look up the definition so we're on the same page. We will look up the definition so we're on the same page. Ecosystem definition. Ecosystem, biological community of interacting organisms in their physical environment. You see the difference? Just a content channel back when, back before podcasting was a thing. You're just looking on TV and you scroll and see if anything good is on and you just leisurely watch it. No, an ecosystem is an actual, okay, I'm specifically watching this because I'm getting better at this and I'm learning this and I'm learning that. There is a huge, huge difference between the two. Podcast and platform. All right. So let me get back here. So podcast is a content channel, platform is an ecosystem. Here's the difference. All right. So feature, one-way broadcast. A podcast, yes. Platform, no. It's two-way engagement. It's multiple platforms, meaning you can be listening to me on LinkedIn. You can be listening to me on Facebook. You can listen to me on YouTube right now. And it's multiple forms of engagement. All right. Multi-form content, podcast, no. Platform, yes. Video, audio, blog, workshops, all of that. That's what a platform is. A community space. There's no community space in a podcast. Yes, there's a community space with a platform. Yes, email groups, live events, all sorts of things that you can connect other people with. Another thing, owns audience relationship. This was the big one for me. All right. This was the big one for me because on Spotify and Apple, I don't know who's listening to the show. I can't really, document. You can't track it because, Spotify and Apple have decided clearly they have enough copyright. They have enough autonomy over the situation where they're owning the listeners and they're just allowing people to hit subscribe, follow, all that kind of stuff. Now, with a platform, you can. There's emails, there's websites, there's a CRM, there's certain things that you can grow with a platform based on what your audience is saying. Now, revenue streams. All right. Revenue streams are only coming from ads, and you have to base your ads based on how to get a lot of people. They don't care who's listening. It's just a matter of how people are coming in. So when it comes to a podcast, the ads are coming from how much you're entertaining people, and the majority of people would prefer to sit back and just be entertained and not taught, not be educated. Now, a platform, which is what we're building over here, which is workshops, speaking, courses, merch, everything that I just kind of mentioned to you in the with all of the intros, whether it's a group of people coming to do boxing lessons, or it's a group of business owners that want me to come in and speak to them, or it's people that just like the Win-Trapreneur t-shirts and they want to get some for their kids, to a group of athletes, a team, whatever. All of this stuff is all of this stuff will be very complementary towards each other, and that is the difference, because there's so many different ways towards creating revenue streams when you have a platform versus a podcast where they're just selling ads and it's going to be based on the entertainment and people watching bullshit. All right, because that's what people would prefer to watch, right? You see the kinds of things that go viral, you see the kinds of stuff that a lot of people listen to. It's more so things that are not really helping them outside of just some entertainment or just some media, some Twitter beef and all that other bullshit. So again, podcast is what they listen to. A platform is what they come back to. And that's where I'm headed, because this moment isn't about bouncing back. It's about leveling up. That was the reaction. All right. So now that we have the difference between, now that we understand the difference between a podcast and a platform. This is what makes me a Win-Trapreneur, and this is what makes Win-Trapreneurship. By the way, let me just make sure I quickly define it, because I'm not sure if I did already. But a Win-Trapreneur is somebody who has an entrepreneurial vision for their life. They have a strong entrepreneurial vision for what it is they want to do. And they've been blessed enough to have a job that pays them every 2 weeks that aligns with that vision. I know you might be saying in your head, "Hey man, that's entrepreneurship." Okay, yes, As One took that term and put a W at the beginning of it, and now it's Win-Trapreneurship, because I'm in the sports world, in the football world, and winning is what we do. That's what you got to do sometimes, right? And again, if you look it up, there's nobody else using the word. There's nobody else using the word. In fact, I'll Google it right now for you guys so you understand. Hey, this is how sometimes it gets done, right? Hold up, no. Yes, there we go. All right, let me look it up right now so you guys understand. When you're putting stuff out there, it's important to own it. Win-Trapreneur. No, see, they have it. Win-Trapreneur, yes. There we go, baby. This is all day. All day. Yep. Yeah, own it. That's me. Win-Trapreneur Wednesday, As One, Crookshank, own that. And they keep saying, did you mean entrepreneur? No, meant Win-Trapreneur. And that's what you got to do. You got to do it your whole new way, come up with your own new style, and then you can learn from other folks. All right, let me get back to the article now that you guys know what it means. So part of being a Win-Trapreneur and part of having your own platform is really, really taking a hard, deep dive into the folks who have done it before. All right. I cannot stress the importance of that enough, because you do not know. And if you could afford it, go pay them for them to teach you whatever they are offering to teach you. All right. You don't know what you don't know. Hear me loud and clear. You don't know what you don't know. So when you come across people on the internet that have it and are doing the work that sounds similar to yours, you have got to be open enough to learn from them. What I did was I listed a group of 5 people that as the Spotify thing happened, and the Spotify basically took down the podcast, and I had to figure out how I was going to rebuild, what I was going to do. These were the 5 people that came to mind in terms of the folks that I listen to on a daily basis in some way, shape, form, or fashion. These 5 people, I consume some of their material at some point, or their material helps me get through the struggles and the issues that I go through every single day. Something they said, some clip, something. One of these 5 people I consume on a daily basis. I do. There's not one day where I'm not at least something Andy Frisella said, something Alex Hormozy said, something Dre Baldwin said, something Anton Daniels said, something Brandon Taylor said, something that one of these 5 people have said has helped me get through the issues and the struggles that I go through on a daily basis, which is why I am able to now give you the content that I give you as frequently as I do. And then when stuff goes on, like I did with Spotify, I turn to them and I ask ChatGPT. I turn to them and say, okay, how did they build their stuff? What did they have? What's sort of the ecosystem? What were some of the interesting? What were some of the things that the plugs and the things that they have in their business that's attracting the people that I would want on my platform? And I work it out in my own way. So let's just read through and then I'll close you guys out. All right. So modeling the masters lessons from top platforms. As I build, I'm looking to the blueprints of thought leaders who turn content into movements. Hear me, content into movements. All right, number 1, Andy Frisella. He built an entire lifestyle brand around 75 Hard, the MF CEO mindset. Uses podcasts as a lead generator for supplements, events, and mentorship. Everything drives traffic to his website and ecosystem. So Andy Frisella it wasn't until literally a year ago where I met this. There was another I teach at this school named the Center for Creative Education, and me and her went out. We went out at a Chipotle. We went out to a Chipotle, and we had planned to do she had heard of him, and she tuned into some of my work. So I guess she kind of thought of him when I was talking. And she told me something about this 75 hard challenge that I knew nothing about. But when we decided that we were going to do it, she dropped out after the first 2 weeks or whatever. But I actually, I did something. Oh yeah, that's why, because I told her that I went a whole year without alcohol. That was during my year of sobriety and all that. So she was thinking about some of the work that he does, and everything I listen to when it comes to Andy Frisella, it's so much about getting people in on that 75 hard challenge, and then knowing that doing that, the people that actually do that are the ones that stay in his world. And me being a former fitness guy, you look him up and you see the growth, you see the progress, you see a lot of similarities. So again, having, switching, this was a year ago when I first heard about it. And it taught me now to maybe take the platform and do the things I'm doing instead of just doing recorded episodes, do some live streams and get those live streams out and, talk as natural and make sure the content is coming out as natural. Like I listened to several of his shows and you could feel it. You could hear it. You could hear the natural way in which he's coming out and coming off on camera. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to work towards being that. That's what I mean. So Andy Frisella, number one. Next person, another recommendation, but next person, Alex Hormozi. Let me read it first, and then we'll look him up real quick. So next person, number two, Alex Hormozi, someone that I've talked about a whole lot frequently these past couple of days, because it wasn't only a colleague, but it was also my current girl, my girl now. She's the one who actually recommends. So this is the power of marketing, folks. Okay. It wasn't just the teacher that I've been working with for the past 3 years. She would mention his name, and then the girl I'm currently with, she sends me an audio book about Alex Hormozi. I'm like, okay, I better fucking do some more research on him, because I need to. If somebody keeps coming up as a thought leader, is something I'm missing. So Alex Hormozi offers free game through tactical videos and books, doesn't monetize directly, uses it to attract multi-million-dollar business partnerships. Acquisition.com is a clean central hub. So let's look him up really, really quick as we're going to be doing this now. I did a whole, let me look him up real quick. All right, so Hormozi, again, acquisition.com, him being a former fitness guy, him being in a situation where he has said on his own platform, that his girl is who is helped him get through a lot of the things that he went through, and believing in him and all that kind of stuff. And knowing how these two books, $100 million offers and $100 million leads, how they got onto my Audible library, knowing that, all of that is like, okay, if Spotify wants to, play me, that's fine. I'll just be able to look at the people that I consume daily, and then establish my own platform. All right. So next one, Dre Baldwin. See, the thing about Dre is, I owe him a lot, because he's local. I'm in South Florida. And, he's local, and he's someone that I've actually paid to coach me. And when you look at the description, he bridges athletic discipline with business via work on your game, pushes daily context, builds email relationships, sells books, and coaching. Right there, when you have someone who has played before, has played athletic, has been involved with athletics, and taken the thing that I've done, like coming from the athletics world and wanting to be taken seriously in the business world, and he has a blueprint strategy on how to do it. That was incredibly valuable for me to be able to have the constant dialogue with him. And if had it not been for him calling my ass out and saying, hey, look, I don't see you speaking on camera enough. I don't see you doing this enough. And if you're talking about being a speaker, what if somebody's interested in investing in you and they're not hearing you speak on camera regularly, and being able to hold a discussion, be able to hold the show, be able to continuously bring out frequent content. In fact, I've actually included him because he's been on the podcast and included him in the book. And I got his permission to do this, by the way. So, I got his permission to talk a little bit about what he said on the Move Swiftly podcast. All of these things happen when you start to see certain platforms kind of dissolve on you. All right. So let me see, I'm running low on time. I usually like to keep these at 45 minutes. And so after Dre, the next two, these are to Anton Daniels and Brandon Tatum. All right. So Anton Daniels converts raw live stream commentary into monetized conversations, builds community through Patreon memberships and group coaching. Brandon Tatum turns political commentary into speaking engagements, merchandise, and book sales. YouTube is the engine, but the real power is in his own audience. So these last two, all right, these last two, I'll go through these last two really quickly as we get into what my new platform is going to look like. Anton Daniels and and Brandon Tatum, these were folks that, had it not been for the absolute, some of the ridiculous stuff I was listening to through the election and through all the Kamala Harris and rise and fall of YouTube, bro. Had it not been for some of that, I would not have discovered these people. I discovered these people strictly online, and now I can't stop every day. Whatever the current event is, whatever the news is, I'm going to Anton Daniels for him to break it down, give you the C student's perspective on things, and then Brandon Tatum, another former football player who I really enjoy tuning into his content, because anytime I see somebody who played the game of football and is able to articulate themselves in a way that puts us as former football players in a kind of a political, gives us the political avenue, gives us an avenue to be ourselves, but also make moves in politics and make moves in policy and taken seriously in that world. I look at him as him really opening doors for folks like me. So love listening to his work, love listening to all that. You see, played at Arizona, Fort Worth, Texas, all that kind of stuff. Dunbar High School. Yeah. So, when these things are important, these people that you look up to and all that, it's important, but it's also important to make sure you have the ability to scale on your own. You're not just idolizing folks, but you're actually learning and building out your own funnel and doing something with the information that they're providing for you. So let me close you. I'm going to close you guys out so you guys understand what my platform is going to look like from, kind of moving forward as we believe it or not, we get closer and closer to 2026. I'll get a sip of water first. So now, what my funnel looks like and what I'm upgrading. Right now, here's how my content and business flow. Awareness is coming from YouTube, podcasting, and Instagram. Entry-level content, episodes, stuff like Film Session Saturday, my Medium articles, the free value, the 10-step playbook that I talked about at the beginning. These live streams, the boxing boot camps, every 2 weeks do a free box and do a free boxing classes and stuff like that. The mid-tier offers, my workshops, the employee development book packages, the plus LY merchandise. Those are mid-tier offers where they're just going to make you some money. It's going to get some sales and kind of show you're not asking for a whole lot of money from people. But the high ticket stuff, which is where my focus has always been and my focus needs to be, is speaking engagements like keynotes and employee development packages over the span of consulting packages over the span of a year, and long-term consulting for businesses and schools where they're literally hiring me out for the whole year to implement a system so they don't have to deal with the turnover issues. That is the focus. That is the focus of every entrepreneur needs to make sure they're having, is they're putting their focus on high ticket. the awareness, the entry-level content, the free value, the mid-tier offers, all that stuff is great. It's great and it's necessary and it's important. But if you're going to make it, you got to really focus yourself on high ticket. I actually learned that from getting coached by this guy right here, Dre. All right. Focus on high ticket 1000%, because you can get lost in the sauce. You heard me. You can lost with all the other stuff. And because it's so much of it that you start to lose focus on the most challenging thing, but the most necessary thing that you need to be doing, which is the high ticket offer, because it's going to be less people that actually are going to be able to entertain the high ticket offer. All right. So, but there are gaps. So I'm again reading directly of the article. This was what it is. This was the way my content and business flowed. Now there were gaps. I literally asked ChatGPT to point out the gaps that I have in my process, in my system. So there are the gaps. It's building a community of identity. So when I'll start to call the people that come into my world and stay in my world regularly, I will start calling them Win-Trapreneurs. All right, Win-Trapreneurs, obviously, for obvious reasons. Next thing that I didn't have digital playbooks or digital products, launch digital products that people can use. Next thing is creating a clear email onboarding funnel. That's where this free guide came in and stuff like that. And again, all of this is in the works of getting better. Published and polished speaker deck for schools and HR pros, HR professionals. Automating short form content from every long form episode. That's something that I would do, is just getting the clips. That can be a tedious process. So there is a possibility of me, just going ahead and hiring an editor of the videos, because it's something I genuinely can't stand doing. What my audience can expect, what you guys can expect now. This moment is the start of a new journey. I'm not just teaching how to increase employee retention rates. I'm showing you how to endure, evolve, and expand. I've been here before, and like transferring D1, this season will lead to another transformation. Expect more live content, panel discussions with previous guests, more behind the scenes of my workshops and speaking, more insight into what it really takes to build a platform with purpose. Final thought. Never build on someone else's platform. One of the best pieces of advice I ever received was this: never build on someone else's platform. Use the platform to build your own. Spotify, LinkedIn, Instagram, they're distribution tools, not homes. Move Swift plus LY is my home. Make Your Move is my headquarters. And my content isn't just coming back. It's coming back with structure, scale, and soul, baby. Woo! Man, and that's what it's all about. All right. So again, I went a little bit over, but it's necessary when it comes to the work I do. If you are interested in moving forward, again, here's the website. It is freeguide.makeyourmove.com. Just put in your information, and you will be added to the email list and all that stuff. Main website, however, to check out, to dive deeper into everything, it's makeyourmove.com. That's MakeYamove.com. One-stop shop for your teamwork and your self-development needs. As one, Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.